Howdy, howdy, welcome back to Corrected Grindies. It's time for some round 1 cutoff results and round 2 predictions for arenas in Marvel Contest of Champions. So today we're dealing with the new Storm Pyramid X and King Groot arenas. So let's dive into the results. Round 1, so 2 arenas in a row, our new feature champs in arenas anyway. We've had some over 60 million. So even though Sorcerer Supreme and Storm Pyramid X don't look like game-breaking, meta-changing type champs, people liked them enough and liked the animations to go ahead and push their numbers pretty high up to 64 million for the 5-star feature. Even the 4-star feature saw an increase from what we typically see, going to 12.5, and that was after the 11 point and change first round cutoff that we saw for Sorcerer Supreme as well. So we're seeing some pushed numbers with these recent champs, and I wonder, it could be a combination of people grinding arenas more, or, so looking forward to, the new Black Widow that we get, as well as David Harbour when he's added to the game. Speaking of that new champ, I mean, there's no actor that looks, or no new champ that looks more like the actor that the champ represents in an upcoming movie than the new champ we have there coming next month. But anyway, it'll be interesting to see if these increases continue. But with the 4-star basic and with King Groot, it was kind of right where we expected for that type of champ. So when I compare these results to my round 1 predictions, you can kind of get how they kind of did. So when it came to I thought we were going to see a 50th and some change. I didn't think we would bust 60 million for the 5-star feature. And again, I thought we saw a little bit on the higher range. I didn't think we'd get over to 11 million plus, but that was the case with the 4-star feature. But then, as I mentioned with King Groot, that was pretty much what it expected. So not so good on those. Those were in the 20% range, whereas that one was spot on with the 4-star basic. I always try to get within 5 to 10%, but I always say, past results don't guarantee future results when you look at trends, so we got to keep that in mind. And so at this point, we're going to have to kind of move the needle higher, especially with the new Black Widow coming out here in a couple weeks, and assume that maybe it could be in that 60 million range for a bit of time. Maybe people just have more time to grind the arena, so that'll be something to keep our eyes on. So when it comes to the two-star, when it comes to the second round, what might we expect when looking at past results? Of course, we just saw here, it doesn't always guarantee future results, so keep that in mind. And again, when looking at these results, these are all for the veterans bracket, as that's really the only bracket that people share a lot of data on, and a lot of community hotspots like MCOC, Truckos, or Reddit. Any of those places where the community gathers and shares results, that's the only thing that those spots typically gather. If you're new to the game, there's other two types of arenas, the beginner and intermediate, and those are really based off of, as the names imply, how aged your account is. Beginner 1 to 30 days, and intermediate 31 to 60 days, and then after that you're in the veterans bracket, and that date is based off of when you open the account, not how much you play. So coming down to the 4-star basic results, these are veterans bracket type numbers as well. You can see when you have that type of champ that's anywhere from 1.5-ish to 1.7-ish, that typically in the second round there's either a slight increase or you're in the same kind of ballpark. I mean, that MODOK, there was a slight drop from 1.6 to 1.54. First round results on top, second round results on the bottom here. But in most cases, it's it's always in the same ballpark. I think Iceman had the biggest increase, but in most part it's usually around that same ballpark. Now looking at the 4-star feature, what we've typically seen here, what you don't see all the way on the right, is Sorcerer Supreme. In most cases there was a decrease. What was interesting with Sorcerer Supreme, there was actually an increase between round 1 and round 2. So that seems to be our new normal, and hey, that's a new term we all keep on hearing about what's going on in the world today, the new normal. So maybe this is the new normal for arenas even. But we'll have to keep our eyes on that. So I'm thinking we might see a slight increase. I mean, here when looking across these other results, we really never saw it, but with Sorcerer Supreme we did. So maybe now with Pyramid X we can expect the same thing, our new normal. And then with a new 5-star feature, we've kind of seen now here we did see for most part a steady increase, except in the case with, when you look At Terrax, it was actually a slight bit below, and Mojo even with 52 to 46, there was a decrease. So when it was in the 50 range, we saw a decrease in the second round, or slightly the same, whereas if it was in the 40s, we saw an increase. Now that 40s and the jump in the second round, that's pretty consistent even outside of these 4 champs. If you look even further back, that's what you can expect. Obviously, we're not dealing that with here, we're dealing with a 60 million. And typically when you see a 60 million, you would see a decrease similar to what we saw with Mojo and Terrax. But again, Sorcerer Supreme, there was actually an increase between round 1 and round 2. Again, our new normal. We may have a new normal here when it comes to arena cutoffs. One instance, though, does not make a trend. You need to see like that happen 2, 3, even 4 times. Potentially, if this whole screen showed that, then we would feel pretty confident in it. So it's a little too early to say, but I'm actually going to hedge the bets and think we're going to see that new normal kind of show up here with arena cutoffs for some time. So when it comes to round 2 predictions, I think we're going to see around the same ballpark for the second round for the 5-star feature and the 4-star feature. Starting first with the 5-star feature, I think we're going to be seeing around 63 million. She was 63 million and change. I rounded up for that round 1 result to 64. I wouldn't be surprised to see 65, given our new normal. And then the 12 million, I think, again, that's right around that same ballpark we saw in round 1. I almost put 13 million here. For the actual cutoff, and again, I always try to get within 5 to 10%, but I think it's going to be in that 12 million range. And then with King Groot, I think we're looking at 1.6 million. I mean, that's pretty consistent, those type of results. And then for the 3-star feature, 1.2 million. I did see a number of folks for the 3-star feature share results that they got around 1.4 million and change, so that was pretty consistent. Maybe 1.3 million. There was a few on the higher end, like not 1.35 and less, but 1.35 plus. You probably got it. We don't ever know the direct cutoff because people don't share the 3-star features much, but it looks like those numbers are staying pretty consistent, which at least that's good. These 4-star and 5-star features, though, these numbers are trending up. And now, as you can see, this is not an exact sum game. This is not an exact science kind of thing with these cutoffs, especially only looking 4 or 5 arenas back. That's not a huge statistical sum or statistical series to base a trend analysis against. So I always like to say, again, past results don't guarantee future results, and I always try to get within 5 to 10%. So with that being said, I always like to give a grind targets, and these grind targets are going to be quite high given what we're seeing here. Our new normal is we're taking it within the arena cutoff land. These numbers, they're pretty high, but if you really want to make sure from a 4-star and 5-star feature standpoint you get the champ, these are numbers you're going to want to push to. 66 million, that sounds like a lot in a midweek type arena cutoff, but we saw that for Sorcerer Supreme. Keep that in mind. And then with the 4-star feature, 13.5, same thing. Sorcerer Supreme was in the 12 million plus range for the 4-star feature the second round, so keep that in mind. I think 13.5 will get you in the safer zone. There's nothing 100% safe, but this is a little bit safer. And then with the King Groot, you're looking at 1.8. And then with the 3-star feature, 1.3. And those are pretty consistent, safe numbers, so keep those in mind. Now, when it comes to those earlier brackets, there's just not a ton of data. Folks do share across the community, either on their Crafting Grinding Twitter account or in the comment section of this video, your results. And I do appreciate that, who are playing in this earlier bracket, because that's the only insights I get. There was a slight increase we're seeing in the beginner's bracket for the 4-star feature, which isn't a surprise because there's so few champs that are given on the rank reward, but it's so easier now to get stacked. Well, not stacked, but, you know, pretty heavy progressing rosters earlier in the game now, just how it's designed. So I'd be curious to see if they change the rank reward to like 100, because with only 50, it's getting pretty competitive. You can see that 4-star feature, 1.6 million-ish is kind of what we're seeing. Even some cases of 1.7 million for the 4-star feature, the beginner's bracket. 4-star basic, 800,000. 3-star feature, 200,000. Coming down the intermediate bracket, it levels out a little bit because there's 200 rank rewards given out for that 4-star feature. So we're seeing that number drop down to 1.3 million. 4-star basic, 950,000, and the 3-star feature, 525,000. So anyway, as the rest of the world, we're dealing with our new normal these days with the arena cutoffs. So it'll be interesting to see if these stick with Storm Pyramid X like we saw with Sorcerer Supreme. If it happens twice in a row, it will be pretty interesting cutting over, because I think Black Widow, so far from what we see, the new Black Widow, and David Harbour, as I like to call it, the other champ, it really looks like those champs are going to be decent. I don't know if any of them are going to be groundbreaking. There was hopes that Sorcerer Supreme and especially Storm Pyramid X from a damage standpoint, but that hasn't really played out. But we still saw, even though they're not super champs or game-breaking champs, they still really push these numbers high, so that means we may see it again coming into next month. But anyway, we are where we are now with round 2. We'll talk about those other future arenas here over the coming weeks. So anyway, hopefully you found this information helpful. If so, I'd really appreciate if you click that thumbs up button, as it tells me that. Plus, it also tells YouTube and shares the video elsewhere. And if you like these type of videos and haven't yet subscribed, we'd appreciate it if you did. Other than that, stay safe and have a great day.